Today we're going to start with a field service demo. Within the application, you have access to your dashboards. You have access to cases, which relate to field service. You have access to your work orders. Within the work orders, you have the ability to add products and services and tasks to the work order. So you have full access to that. And you also have access to all of your original accounts and contacts. We're going to start out by accessing your dashboards. The field service dashboards are separate from your regular dashboard, so you'll have a list of just field service type dashboard. This one is just a brief example of some of the information that's available within the field service application. This first view gives you an idea of your active work orders by month. So this is showing the ones that were created or worked on in the month of May, and then also some here now in the month of June. You see a list of those work orders over here on the right-hand side. These do become interactive. So if I wanted to click within my chart, I can then, there's only one in each one, so it's not going to be the greatest amount of data, but I can, oops, click within my chart and I can expand and start to select on another piece of data, maybe by created by. And then once I do that, I can go ahead and pick what type of chart I want to see. So this one, we'll just do another block. So this one was created by the system administrator, but if there was multiple ones, you could see who all created them. If you would like to go back to the original chart, you just click on the home button that's here. And now we're back to the original chart. You can also access the data records by just clicking on in this case, the work order number. Now I'm actually in the work order that was created and I can work with it from here. So one of the great things about Dashboard is it gives the user a place to come into the system, a starting point to say. It can give them a visual description via the chart on what they have going on that day. And it can also give them quick access into the records so that they don't have to click on a lot of the menus here on the left-hand side. They can just click directly into the records. So we're going to jump down now. We're going to start talking about cases a little bit. So usually when someone within your organization receives a phone call or an email, maybe registering that a particular piece of equipment they have is not working or functioning properly. So one of the first things you might want to do as that customer service representative is create a case, which then we can add a work order to and follow the process through the work order through field service. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a new case here. Give this case a title. I'm just going to say that the customer said that a machine wasn't working. And we're going to say that this is a service request. And we're going to pick the customer. Kin Robotics. It came from a phone call. And our contact is Abraham. Okay. You will obviously know the satisfaction. And in our case, we're going to say that the related product for this machine, we're going to say it's the armband 100. So from here, I'm just documenting what the customer had to say on the phone call, that their machine wasn't working, the customer name, the contact, and then what product this is. So I'm just going to say Abraham. Okay, so again, just making a few notes here that we can potentially use throughout the process. Okay. At this point, I'm just going to go ahead and save this. All right. So once this is saved, this now becomes an active case. You can see that right here. This is an active case for this particular issue. You could go on and add additional details. The one we're going to add here is some field service details. We're going to pick our incident type. And since I know that this is potentially like replace the broken part, because the client kind of told us that, I'm going to go ahead and pick replace broken part. And these can be set up accordingly. You can set up the different incidents type, and then the estimated hours you believe it's going to take. So this one is estimated to take about 2.5 hours of looking of time. You could also create a functional location. We're not going to worry about that right now. We just wanted to get the incident type in here. So once we have the case created and the incident selected, I can now go and add a work order to this. Work orders under cases fall under this related tab. You can also add them to the screen. So again, kind of prevent the users from having to click within here. We could give it its own separate tab. But in our case, we're going to just go ahead and click here. And if there was work orders already associated with this case, you could see the list here. You can have multiple work orders on one case. Um, but right now, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add a new work order. It gives us a quick create form up over here on the right hand side. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish um, filling this out. My work order summary, I happen to copy this off of my case. So I just said that, what Abraham reported. And then Abraham is our contact. Go ahead and select him in there. The primary incident description. And again, I could put in here that the machine isn't working. The thing I want to point out is you see this little red asterisk. The red asterisk indicates that this work order type field is a required field. Also, the service account was also a required field. The other fields on this form are optional and they are changeable within the system. So being that this is just a quick create form, it's just to get the basic data into the system so that we can move on and actually fill it out in the informational form. So for here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select the work order type. I think we want to call this probably a diagnose and repair because we're not 100% sure, even though that's what the customer tells us, we're still going to give the user the ability to go ahead and diagnose this if it does come up to be something different. The system status in our case right now, it's open and unscheduled. Once we get into the actual work order, we can move forward and do the scheduling process. And then also once it's in progress and completed. So right now we're going to leave this as unscheduled because we're just creating the record. And then you also have the ability to do some sub statuses here. If the customer or your guys feel like this is something you want to work with. Sometimes this is nice if the customer calls back like an hour later before you even have a chance to get it out there and just say, oh, they canceled it, or you know what? Yes, it was broken. I repaired it, but I want to follow up with them. So you can, again, these are, we can create them for you, or these can be changed as you feel necessary and appropriate. I'm just going to go ahead and say that this is ready for dispatch because once I get it in there, it's really ready to go out and we want to get this to the customer as soon as possible. And it's telling me my sales territory, and that's based on the customer's location because I already pre-populated. And it also gave me a price list. So you can have multiple price lists within your system. In this way, when they assign the products, it picks the default price list so that we just know what kind of pricing system this particular customer is working under. So I'm going to go ahead and save this. Now you can see that the work order does fall in under the work order types. I'm still in the case. You can see that by looking up here at the top. I'm in the machine isn't working case, but my work order is now associated with that case. So from here, I could go ahead and I could open the work order. Now I'm on the work order record and no longer on the case record, just to point it out. You'll also notice that our work order has a process bar across the top. This process bar is to help your users work through the system, filling out the information that as an organization you decided it must be filled out before they can move to the next stage and then in completion complete the order. So the first one is, as you can see, it's just some basic information. We didn't fill out priority, so let's just go ahead. We'll add this as a high priority because the customer needs it immediately. But now that this stage has been completed, everything I need to fill out is filled out. I can go ahead and click next stage. And again, the process bars are completely configurable and you decide how many stages within the process bar you have, and then also how many steps within each stage that you need. So again, I'm in the scheduled work order process. So the system status is still open and unscheduled. So I know I need to go ahead and get that scheduled. And then my status is ready to dispatch. So I feel comfortable that this is ready to move forward. But before we do that, we'll just spend a few minutes on the work order itself to provide some additional information for our technicians. On the work order, again, this basic information came over from the case, so most of it, and filling out that quick create form. So most of our good information is here. You also have the ability from picking our primary incident that you see that 2.5 hours came over that allowed us to provide an estimate on how long it should take this technician. The incident is also over here on the right-hand side. You can have multiple incidents to one or work order. In our case, we just have the one. I'm not sure. So the account must not have a customer information, a primary contact on there. Had that customer or contact had the contact be associated with this customer as the primary, then this information would have filled out. It is locked, so unfortunately I can't make the adjustment or change, but we could unlock it, moving forward so that that is more visible to the technicians. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at the settings tab. Under the settings tabs is some more kind of information regarding setting up like the times that the customer might have wanted. If they said, hey, we really need you here between 1 and 4, you could put some, proposed times or promised times in here. If this was related to another work order, maybe installing the machine and our installers broke the arm or something, we could have a potential parent work order associated with this too. Go ahead and look at my products. Now I know this is the armband product, so I'm going to go ahead and select the new product and select that armband. And my unit, oops. Okay, I didn't want to do that, cancel. So I brought in my unit as the basic patches. This is still under an estimate. As the technician utilizes this, they can, once they install the new one, they would change this from estimated to use, which then obviously associates the price of the product to the work order to be turned into a sales order and processed as an invoice. I could select the warehouse that this product is going to come from. So we know it's going to come from our main warehouse. You can also create additional warehouses as necessary. So I'm just going to go ahead and save and close this. And you can see that comes in here. Whoops, I guess I need to open this back up. I didn't select a quantity. So I'm going to open it back up, go to my estimated information, and my quantity is 1. But as I look at this estimated information, again, you see the price associated with this product, if there was any discounts allowed, so on and so forth, and also the cost of this product. Because I'm in this as a system admin, I'm able to see all of this information. But if you didn't want your technician or some of your customer service representatives to see this information, you could definitely remove the cost information so they didn't necessarily have to see that. You could also see the products that it's related to. So if there was other products associated or that this product relates to, what the work order and so on and so forth. And then you could also add some notes if you wanted to regarding, but this is just regarding the product, that not the actual work order itself. Well, let's go back to the general tab and go ahead and hit save and close. So again, as the technician changes that flag from estimate to use, this information will come over here and they can document exactly, did we use 1, did I need 2, so on and so forth. And then the total amount would calculate appropriately based on the quantity. Let's go to our services. So under the services, I can select the type of services that this work order is required. If I go ahead and hit the new button, click the services here. And again, we're going to just call this an armband install, even though it might not necessarily, we have to diagnose this first, but it's going to kind of fall more under this install. Okay, and again, your unit fills out and it's indicated that this is estimated. Let's go to the estimated information. Flat. This one was a flat amount. But if we knew it was going to take like 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, you could do an estimated duration time. But this was a flat rate, so it just had an amount in here of $740. And again, this would be as they change from that estimated to used or completed process. So we'll go back to the general tab. We're going to go ahead and save this, and you'll see that the services now show up in our subgrid here on the form. So then we're going to go to task. So these tasks got populated based on the incident that I chose for the work order. So you can see they're going to say confirm the part to replace, review a procedure, perform the repair, and test and validate. And it also provides approximation on how long each of those should take. And again, this is more from the technician's perspective, so they know what tasks they need to complete. So these are added as you create those incidents within the system. Let's go back to our summary page. So once the work order is completed and all the information is required that is needed is required, we're going to go back to our process bar and take a look. Make sure we need to complete everything in this particular stage of the process. We know that this is open right now, so we need to book this or schedule it for our users. So if you look on our form, you see that there's this booking section. So I could book this work order right from here. We're not going to do that right now because I actually want to book it from our schedule board. So I'm going to show you that, but I'll go ahead and open this up so you can take a look. So let's say I know the technician I need to send here. So I just want to go ahead and book this out. If I click on the ellipses here, I can do a new bookable resource. So I'm adding a bookable resource, which is one of our resources that are available. So I can give this a name and just say it's a repair. And then my start time, like I said, I know it's going to be, let's say we're going to send him out tomorrow at 8 a.m. and he should be done tomorrow. It was 2.5 hours, so he should be done by 10:30. I mean, these are just estimated times. And then from here, I can pick my resource. So again, if I knew who my resource was going to be, I could select them here, and that way it would book them as non-bookable on the schedule board, and we would see it on there. So I have some other ones I can show you on the schedule board. So let's go ahead and we'll book Alan for this one. Okay. And then it's going to tell me what the booking status is. So again, this gives you the ability to select whether, customer service representative or the technician themselves. They could go ahead and update this accordingly. Right now, we're just going to mark that it's scheduled. So that's what I'm doing. I'm scheduling this for Alan. And then I could say that it is either solid or liquid. So in my case, I'm going to leave it solid because I know he's available and I want him to go there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save and close. And again, what this is doing in the background is it's adding that resource to this work order. So now you see that I have that bookable resource added to my work order. And I will see that once I go to the schedule board too. So we'll take a look at that at that time. All right. So let's go over to our schedule board. So if we go over here and look at our navigation pane here on the left-hand side, I can go to schedule board. And this is going to give me a list of all of my resources and a calendar kind of view so I can see who's available, who's not available. Also a list of the open work orders that still need to be scheduled. Okay, so this is looking at today's. But if I kind of scroll over and take a look at Alan, you can see that Alan has been booked for that work order that we showed a little bit ago. And you can, if you hover over it, you can see some brief information about the work order that we booked for Alan. Okay. One of the things I wanted to show you about the resources is the ability that each resource will actually have the ability to enter in some of their characteristics. So what are they good at? What do they do? And things like that. So once I have those resources set up or characteristics set up for my resources, I can then go ahead and filter my list of resources based on those characteristics. So let's take a look at the characteristics. So we based the one we were looking at was the armband servicing. So I only want to see technicians that have that as one of their characteristics. So I go ahead and I select that. And I can then say, oh, is it someone who's familiar with it, good at it, proficient? In my case, I'm going to say proficient only because it's something that's broken. So I want to really make sure that the customer is satisfied this time. But again, you can see that there's multiple different types of characteristics. And once I select those, I can go ahead and hit search. And now it's going to narrow down my list of resources that are available to go out for these particular work orders. If I want to see a list of the work orders that are left, so if you notice I have 2 other work orders that still have not been booked, I know that they're supposed to last about 2.5 hours, so it kind of gives me some information. One's a medium priority, one's a high priority, provides me the territories for each of them, so I can also know like, hey, are my resources within the territory I'm looking for? Something probably good to know. Once I decide I want to book one of these work orders, I can go ahead and create over here on the side. I don't know if you can read that, but it says create a resource booking. So I can go ahead and click within there. I have to select the requirement. We'll just click on this one here. So now that that box is highlighted, it's telling me to go ahead and I can um, pick my resource, which I know I'm going to want this to be Victor. And then we're going to go ahead and say we want Victor to be there. Let's let Victor go tonight. We'll have Victor go there because this is an emergency. So we're going to put him there at 5:30. And then his end time will be 8. Got to get my 2.5 hours in. Okay, the booking status, we can select here what we want to change it to. And in our case, we want to change it to scheduled. So we're going to go ahead and hit book. And then what you'll see is that on our schedule board, Victor now shows as not available during this time. So if we go back to, to the 6/3, there is Victor booking that work order for him. All right, so that kind of goes over quickly the different types we have in field service. We started out with a case. We created a work order that's associated with that case. From that work order, we were adding the incident type. We were able to add products and services, also provide a list of tasks for this user to complete, the technician to complete once they're at the location. And then we were able to schedule that out and utilizing both the schedule board and the characteristics available to schedule out our work orders.